Okay, so I've been bringing up the English movie a lot lately, and I normally wouldn't. I wouldn't have if it was just copy and paste like the other movies were, but um, Saban actually tried to change the theme of all three of these movies in some form or fashion. Not necessarily much the first one, because it was the only thing they really changed about the first one is the fact that they're saying that Willis got his partners the same time Ty and, well, that Coralmine came in. But besides that, the first movie is exactly the same. The second movie, our war game, was was the same also, except in the Japanese version, Izzy had this friend from LA that told him that the Pentagon had been hacked into. In the English version, it's Willis that emails Izzy saying that him and Izzy have been like, um, what's the word I'm thinking of? Crap, I forgot the name of them. But they've been like email partners or something, and he told Izzy. Um, so therefore making him canon in the English version, which doesn't make any sense because, like, what have I explained in my go over of Golden Hurricane, that the movie's not canon. But also in the English version, Diaboromon launched one missile to Tokyo. In the English version, he launched three. One to where Tai is, the others were. One to Hawaii, where Mimi was, and one to Denver, where Willis was. It was an interesting way to approach that, but all in all, that our war game is still pretty similar story-wise. Then the Golden Hurricane, and this movie is it's completely changed because in the English version, our war game and Golden Hurricane have nothing to do with one another. Obviously, because Golden Hurricane isn't canon to the story. So they attempted to tie the two movies together. And they did it by saying that Willis created Diaboromon by accident or something. Or he created him on purpose to try to have another friend, he mutated or something. I completely forgot what their explanation for that was. But when Omnimon killed Diaboromon, he somehow snuck out of the internet and took control of Lotmon. And that's why he's gone rogue. It's not because he misses younger Willis, it's because Diaboromon corrupted him. And Diaboromon doesn't kidnap the original Digidestin like Lotmon did in the Japanese version. So the original group has nothing to do with this movie at all. They're just brought up at the beginning just to show them how they are now. So the beginning part where Mimi disappears isn't even there. They just, like, they had the computer hanging off a telephone. It didn't make any sense. And the whole wondering why Willis can speak perfect Japanese isn't even an issue here, because everybody speaks English, and I'm surprised that Wilson asked the others why they know how to speak perfect English. That's kind of a stupid thing to bring up. It makes more sense in the Japanese explanation for all that. But it's a lot shorter than the Japanese version is. And I actually like it better because it's presented better. Because it's not as boring. Because, like I said, I found the original Japanese version completely boring and bad soundtrack and with a lot of dead, dry areas in it. They reduced, what, a 45-minute movie, I think it was. I forgot how long Golden Hurricane really was, but they reduced it to like 30 minutes, something like that. It's a lot more bearable. They get more to the point. But I mean, still, Willis isn't a canon character, so that's why the English approach to all this doesn't really fit. But, I mean, Saban did a pretty good job trying to tie those two movies together, and it's actually viable. But, I don't know. Like I said, I do like the English version of Golden Hurricane much better. But it's still kind of the movie, even in English version. So that's pretty much it for the story. Changes anyway. The voice actors are the ones we got from the English version. They're just as good. They made. I mean, the Saban writers even carried over the pun overuse that the English version had into the movies. It worked nice for for our war games. And in some aspects, it's funnier than the Japanese version, but sometimes they tried to make it too funny. That's why I think the Japanese version is better, just because the soundtrack is better, and they kind of balance out the seriousness, the funniness. Omnimon does talk. Omnimon and Caramon's evolution chain just does talk in the English version, which I'm kind of indifferent about it. I mean, I'm okay with him not talking, but at the same time, I'm okay with him talking. That's just me. I could really care less. I know some people who who grew up with the Japanese version really hated that they made him talk in the English version, and vice versa. You grew up with the English version, you hated that he was silent. I mean, it's okay either way. I mean, if I had written it, I would have had him talk, but I'm not going to make a big fuss over it and start flipping tables, because it's not a big problem. Terriermon gets the same voice actor as he gets in Tamers, so we're introduced to that voice actor right out of the gate. Soundtrack, it's English soundtrack. I mean, I like the English, the songs that were written for the English version, like, Let's Kick It Up, and Strange, and Let's Get Digital, and Run Around, and all that stuff. I mean, they're great songs, don't get me wrong. It's just compared to, like, Braveheart and Break Up, nah. It's still a good soundtrack, though. The songs separately are really, really good. Just used in context of, like, fight scenes, you're maybe pushing a little bit, but it's better than that crappy banjo music that the Japanese Golden Hurricane gave us. A lot of people hate the digi-rap, but I like it. It's because it's kind of catchy. I just want to talk about this. I mean, the English dub song, repetitive as it is, I still like it. I mean, I grew up with that version. I didn't know what Butterfly was until, like, 3 years ago, when I got back into the series and started to become a hardcore fan. That's when I started to pay attention to the Japanese versions of things. So, I mean, I really grew up off the repetitive Digimon Are the Champions song. I mean, yeah, compared to Butterfly, it's crap, but it's still a good song for, like, nostalgia's sake. I think if you're not nostalgic towards the English version of Digimon, you're going to be like, oh god, this is terrible. Now, why they used it for the evolution music, that's beyond me, because I mean, they didn't even really have evolution music. They played it during the evolution sequence, but then they used generic background music for the fight scenes, which is one reason why the Japanese version is so much better, because they keep the evolution song playing over the fight scene, which makes them better. Ow. And, I don't know. I haven't really talked much about the English dub. I'm trying to go ahead and get some of that out of the way here. Now, from a series context, like the actual adventure, 02, Tamers. You know what, let me just go ahead and talk about the English dubs right now while I'm on the topic. Adventure's voice acting at the beginning was kind of, it sounded forced, and then it got better as the show went on. Like I said, musically, it's a bunch of generic background pieces, nothing fancy, nothing as good as 07 or Braveheart. 02 kind of followed suit with the adventure mindset. It's bleh. It's okay, but still, this is when they started to introduce some of the songs that were added in the movie, like Run Around and Strange and Let's Get Digital kind of get brought in as battle music, and it's better, but it's still 02. Tamers is when the English voice acting started to get better. It still has the same theme song. They kind of like rock wrapped it up a little bit. But still, generic background music. There's the evolution song is nice. The basic evolution song and the Biomerge evolution song are nice compared to what the two adventures did. Compared to the Japanese version of Tamers, it still stinks. The voice acting was a lot better in the English version of Tamers. Though, I'm going to talk about Frontier next, which I think is the overall best, the overall best English dub season, because it had the best English intro, and I think everybody can universally agree that Frontier had the best English intro. It still had generic background music, but it was okay. The evolution music kind of had like that tribal sound to it, and I actually really liked it. It's my prime. I guess it's my favorite English evolution music. Yeah, I mean, it fits. Somehow it fits. And then they kind of like change it up a little bit for the double spirit and then for the hyper spirit. Or they call double spirits are called fusion evolution in English, and hyper spirits are called unified spirit evolution, I think is what it was. And then Sasanumon had his own evolution song and was still called Ancient Spirit Evolution. But like I said, overall, I think Frontier had the best English dub. Savers, as much as people hate the English dub, I think it's the second best behind Frontier. The intro's a little weak. The evolution music is the second best behind Frontiers. Personally, I just like the English dub of Savers. It seems like I like everything about Savers a bit more than most of the fan base does. I had no problem with the dub of Savers. That's just me. All the movies except for the Savers movie and the two CGI goofball Looney Tune-esque movies and X Evolution haven't gotten dubs yet. And at this point, I don't think they are. Maybe if Cross Wars somehow finds its way to America, we might possibly see X Evolution, but I'm pushing my luck with thinking that. The Savers movie's never going to get dubbed, sadly. The two goofball movies, I've only seen one sub of them, and yes, I'm going to be talking about them later, and I'll link you to those when I get to it. Now as for the Cross Wars dub thing, the odds as of right now aren't looking too good. Although there is a rumor going around now that we might see it sometime next year on Nicktoons, Nicktoon Network, because like Saban bought the rights back to most of the stuff they had, so they have Power Rangers back, and Power Rangers is being aired on Nicktoons. So if Saban somehow bought the rights to Digimon back, we could see Saban do Cross Wars, or what is called English Fusion Battles, and see it put on Nick. But there's nothing confirmed. A few months ago, there was an official licensed name called Digimon Fusion Battles that was submitted to the U.S. registration for an official name. So Toei is trying to get it over here. It's just when, we don't know. But the rumor is sometime in 2013. Still, there's nothing official. If there is, I'll make something of it. And we don't have a Cross Wars movie yet either. And unless we get a big surprise sometime soon, Cross Wars is not going to be getting a movie, which is going to disappoint me greatly, as much as I love Cross Wars. So, there's my thoughts on the English version of the movie and the English dub series in general. I mean, I had to talk about the English stuff eventually. It was the ones I watched first. Okay, Tamers movies, yay!